Okay, in-laws. Two little words that can stir big and complex emotions in each of us. You know, for some, those feelings are positive and polite. For others, maybe a little more complicated. But it's never too late, according to my next guest, to give more love to the in-laws. Studio 5 relationship contributor Dr. Matt Townsend is here to tell us how. In your years of experience, you say you have found that a lot of our in-law relationship issues can actually be easily avoided.
Oh, yeah. I mean, never show up to the in-laws,
Okay.
and it's not going to be a problem. But this is a classic problem that you don't even necessarily see coming until you're way into it. And it's a lot of times you've never been in their family dynamic, and so you just dated their cute little son that they just worshipped and thought was great.
Right.
And then when you marry that son and you become part of the dynamic, if you're not used to it, it becomes really unsettling and can cause divorce, can cause alienation, can cause grandparents never to see their kids or grandkids, or vice versa. So we've got to fix this, and I honestly think this is a family, and this is how we heal a family, is we got to learn to move and adapt and grow to become a new dynamic.
How often does this come up in your counseling?
Quite a bit, honestly, quite a bit. Like it's easily a top 6 thing that comes up pretty much. And even if you love your in-laws, sometimes it's too much. We don't have boundaries. A lot of boundary talk is around in-law issues.
All right, you've got 5 rules to
Yes.
improve our in-law relationships. First, lead with healthy, not just history.
Yeah, a lot of times we just do what we've always done. And so we've always had Sunday dinner, we've always had this, we've always had this. Every holiday was this. It's always what we've done. But sometimes you got to ask yourself, is it healthy? Is it healthy to go this much to our in-laws' house? Is it healthy that we can't do anything without certain people? And so why that's important is healthy means it's like it's whole, it's complete, it's fulfilling, it's healthy, it's not perfect, but it's actually longitudinally we can do it forever.
This feels interesting to me because I have felt a pendulum shift in the last 10, 20 years as we've wrestled with these kind of issues here in this space. And it almost feels like the pendulum swung a little, like my grandma was so traditional and you did show up at every Sunday and and then it's almost feels like the pendulum swung way the other direction and the boundaries now are so tight that we're losing tradition.
Yep, and so the powerful thing is, what if we could absorb some of those traditions, but do it in a way, one of the ways you know it's healthy or not is, can we communicate about it? Can we, is there equity and are we fair and are we loving and is it kind? I know people that go to their in-laws' house and it's cold and they're ignored. And if you're not a blood child, you don't get the same treatment of every other child. But yet we're a family unit now, and yet the only unit you pay attention to, or part of the unit, is the blood unit. And so part of the thing I want everyone to look at is, are our patterns healthy? You'll know they're healthy if they're sustainable, if they're doable, if they uplift us, if it makes us safer, more respected.
And if you can talk about it. I think that's a good litmus test. You want us to get in and lose the law.
So we hear the word in-law, and a lot of times the minute it's a law, we separate ourselves like it's an obligation. Now I'm obligated to deal with this person that's so different. There's also weird tension, right? And a lot of times you might see it between a mom and a daughter-in-law fighting for the love of the man or whatever. But the reality is that don't treat our kids, our in-laws, like they're in-laws. They're your child, and as soon as you have to see them like part of your family, then adapt, love, enroll them, bring them into the system, get in with them in a way that you would seeing them as a real child of yours.
Improve today by looking ahead.
You just want to know how to handle your in-law relationships. Anticipate what you want your relationship to be like in 15 years. You want grandkids coming around. Do you want there to be a marriage still? If so, then you have to feed your children's relationships. You have to, when they run to me and they might want help or something, I usually give them a little help and I spin them back and I push them back to their spouse. Don't team up with your child against their spouse. Don't team up with their spouse against your child. Don't ever tell, you know how many times I've heard someone say, oh man, do you have any idea who you're marrying here? My son is this and this, and like it's like, I just want open disclosure.
That just
He's
makes
messed
me
up.
Cringe.
No, and so part of this is think ahead. What do you really want our family unit to be like? How do you want your in-law, your daughters and sons-in-law to come to you? You better start modeling it with your parents if you want it handed down.
Rule number 4, you want us to empower the common denominator.
This is my favorite lesson on in-laws ever.
Teach us.
Definition of a common denominator is a feature shared by all members of a group. So in an in-law relationship, there's a mother who had a son. The son is married to a wife. If there's tension between the wife and the mom, the common denominator is the son. Almost any time I see problems between a daughter and a mother-in-law, the problem is a weak son. A son that doesn't know where his mom fits and a son that doesn't know where his wife fits. And so he's playing both of them, and then weirdly, they fight each other. You want to strengthen those relationships? Look for the common denominator. There's one denominator that's always going to be able to create better leverage, and it's usually somebody that's not playing their part. And that part is usually because they're afraid. They're afraid that sometimes it's codependent relationships. Sometimes it's, I'm afraid I won't be loved if I do this. I'm afraid my wife will be mad at me. So look for the common denominators and let's strengthen the actual child of the in-law should be verbalizing more, saying more, demanding more, and putting people in place more.
So wise.
Sometimes it's the spouse, sometimes it's the parent.
A tight 20 seconds. I quote you a lot.
Yeah.
This is the number one thing I say that you taught us. Never follow the lead of the most relationally challenged person.
Yeah, if you know your in-laws are a little relationally challenged, don't follow their lead.
Yeah.
Don't become broken because they're broken. Don't miscommunicate because they do. Don't ignore because they do. Don't argue because they do. You become the best you, and then that's really the only hope you have of changing a system where it's being led by people that don't know what they're doing.
This was good.
Huge.
5 rules. We'll post this conversation on our website if you want to review with, I don't know, a significant other or a
just run
parent.
it by your in-laws at the next
family
family reunion.
Their inbox, yeah. And you can also go to matttownsend.com. What's happening on your website?
Just we have a great discount, March 20. If you put that in, you can get a discount on any of our online programs.
Nice.
It's pretty big.
Yeah.
All of my marriage classes, parenting classes, anxiety stuff.
Date night?
Date night coming up in a date night. It's not up yet.
Oh, it's not up yet.
Past date nights are.
Okay, past date nights, March 20. Get the discount for the month of March, and your relationships will be better because of it. Matt, thank you so much. We'll be right back.